Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon, broadcasting out of Burbank, California with UBN Go. And then every Saturday at 6 Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Time or whatever time it is on my NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, on AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5. And then everywhere else, podcasting, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, you name it, I'm there because this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So we have guests and topics to that end. If you missed any of my fabulous people, from Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, to Neil Donald Walsh, to Marianne Williamson, to Marianne from Gilligan's Island, you can go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and take a listen to those so that you can be happy 88% of the time. And some of you may be saying, now, why 88% and not 100%? Because if you are 100% happy, you're dead. And I don't want dead people walking around. 88, I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese. 8 is a lucky number in Chinese, and it's good fortune. So good fortune means I have good fortune for you, and 88% means double good fortune is your birthright. So I am so delighted that today I have not one guest, but several guests to talk about literally hope and happiness. And the reason why we're doing this is because tomorrow is 11/11. It's an auspicious time. And so I am asking all of us to take a moment. There's events that are coming on at 11/11, and my guests are going to tell us about it. And I just lost my script for a second. So I am going to just go to my other thing here, because that is, let's just do this. Obviously, I wasn't meant to read your bios, which I prepared, but we'll go ahead and just let you introduce yourself, because you know yourself better. But I'm so delighted. Not only, this started as wanting to bring on Tzadik because he roped me into some things for 10/10, 2020, and then 11/11. And then through Tzadik, I was able to meet Kirsten, and Rennie. And then to find out that Rennie is one of the people from Chicago 7, which is, if you didn't, I asked you to do your homework to watch on Netflix, the Chicago 7. It's an amazing documentary. So I'm going to start, we'll start with Tzadik, and have you introduce yourself, and I'll time you for 2 minutes, and then see if I can't find the rest of the script. Tzadik, welcome to the studio.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. I guess I would say short is I am a lover of life and just dedicated to creating wholeness in all my relations. And the way that I do that primarily is through building global, local, and regional programs and events that are focused on teaching people how to lean deeper and deeper into their wholeness, to be able to see all the aspects of ourselves, even the parts we don't necessarily like all the time, and to learn how to love those spaces. The way that I do that most in my life is through the organizational vehicle called Earthwalk. And our mission is to create a global culture of peace. We're currently in the midst of the Whole Person Events launch series, which everyone on this screen has been a part of. First for the 10-10 event, tomorrow for the 11-11 event, and then again for the 12-12 and Solstice event is going to be sort of launching off things in a major way. And I would sort of say that's the high level. I am really deeply interested in getting into the more challenging conversations in a way that brings everyone into a space of winning.
Fabulous. Welcome to Tzadik. And then next we have Rennie. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? We got one. We're going to have applause for everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. We are, we're thrilled to be on a program that's dedicated to happiness and joy. What can I say? This is not meant to invoke any conflict at the start, but Kirsten and I are on a journey to try to push the boundaries of 88. We are absolutely going to try to do it. Doesn't mean we're going to check out and die. It means that we're going to try to bring heaven on earth. That's all. So just bear with us because we're going to make an all-out push for 100% happiness.
All right. Fabulous. Fabulous.
In the 60s, I was the coordinator of the largest anti-war and civil rights coalition, really in American history. We organized the demonstrations in Chicago. This is all in the media right now because of the movie. The plan was to bring 500,000 people to Chicago, but we were denied permits and we went anyway. It was very courageous. This was an event watched on television and watched the first man landing on the moon. It was just a gigantic event. It resulted in my being indicted with 7 others. That eventually turned into the trial of the Chicago 7. And some people don't know this, but at the end of that trial, the Chicago 7 called for a nationwide student strike, and 90% of American colleges and universities walked out of college in one of the largest impactful protests ever. I also organized the largest civil disobedience arrest in American history. And one of my favorites really was that I had the opportunity to partner with John Lennon we wanted to bring 1 million people to the Republican convention. He got deported or, threatened by deportation. And so we never completed that tour. But so from that, we've just continued to work to try to see, where do we go from the 60s into today. So we have some plans that Kirsten's going to share with everyone about tomorrow. We're launching an event tomorrow on November the 11th that is really an attempt to launch the largest movement in American history and actually create a new humanity on Earth.
Beautiful. And you're being a little bit humble, which I thought you would be. You actually, the whole concept of, you're the 60s version of all of the protests that were before that and that we're seeing again. So it truly is an epic. It was an epic event that moved our ability to take activism and peace, with the Martin Luther King nonviolence. And this was supposed to be nonviolent. And you got a really bad break and a bad judge, and you spent 5 years in prison, correct?
No, actually, we were sentenced to 5 years.
Okay.
And we did go to jail for 2 weeks what happened, we had quite a serious bond. And so we raised our bond money in the first day. And I realized that there were just hundreds of people in prison who couldn't post $100 bond. So I had a friendly guard go around to all the other defendants and say, let's just stay in until we can bail out the whole jail. So that's what we did.
You're kidding me. That's not in the doc.
No. But then
Wow.
what happened was that our indictment, our conviction went to an appellate level, and it was reversed on appeal. So I also got 2.5 years in contempt of court. That was thrown out too. So actually, I never really served any time at all. We just went through the trial of the century. The New York Times called it the most significant political trial in American history. We all assumed we would go to jail for 10 years, but we got off free.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The movie really wasn't a documentary either. There was a lot that was incorrect in that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it was, but the impressive parts, I think, were real. So.
Yeah, it had a big impact on people. You know, it brings back the spirit of the Chicago 7 at a time when it's really needed today. And so for that reason, we support the Netflix film.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then your lovely partner, last but not least. I found my script, but it will not come up. And so that just means that you're supposed to introduce yourself.
There you go. All right. Well, really, in a nutshell, the 3 focal points of my life have been business. I've been an entrepreneur for pretty much all of my adult life. I ran a multi-million-dollar ergonomic manufacturing company in California way back when. And but really my love came in with environmental management, sustainability, and really realizing that business is such a powerful agent within the development of society that we've got to bring in the sustainability thinking and design abilities. And so I brought that in, and then consciousness, spirituality, waking up, any of the however you want to call it, has been a driving force for me as well. And so really those 3 strands have woven together into this organization that Rennie and I are now running, called the Foundation for Humanity. And it is about this new humanity that we're talking about, to ignite, to inspire, to train the new humanity in how do we wake up 100%? That's why Rennie challenged you on the 88. What does it mean to wake up 100%? And what are the very specific steps to do that? And then how do we live and grow and thrive on Earth in alignment with the intelligence of nature? How do we design our societies so that we're not a wrecking ball through every system of Earth?
Great. Now, awakening, being completely awake, being whole and unified, Tzadik is part of that, the whole person, whole body unification. How do you, I guess the contrast is, give me why we're not awake. So why do we even need this? Tzadik, why don't you start with that? What's wrong with us is, I guess, the question.
Nothing wrong.
Yeah, I would sort of share what I just heard Kirsten say, which is, I don't think anything is wrong. I think that we are always in this dance between wakefulness and sleeping. And I think that's actually a normal part of life. We have, in general, if you will, we've got 50% of the time in daytime, 50% of the time in nighttime. And then I actually feel it's a very healthy thing to be going through these undulating states of up and down and in and out. I think where suffering, though, happens, and I think kind of answer your question, is when we get stuck in one of the 2 places where we are trying to chase after light to the sort of like exclusion of our darkness, to our pain, or if we're going after our pain to the exclusion of like our light and our greatness. And that whenever we're getting out of that natural cycle, my story is that's where suffering begins. And that's where I see us, is I believe we've been in a society that's been addicted to expansion, addicted to the light, addicted to this place of like forever growing and growing. And that's just not the way that life is from how I see it. And so right now, I believe we're kind of going through this process right now of deep humbling, where the parts of us that we're not honoring, that darkness, the parts of our shadow, are beginning to come forward, because inevitably parts that we don't recognize will come forward. And so that's how I would answer that, is there's nothing wrong with us. It's just depending on what we honor and what we don't honor, that which we don't honor will come up and sort of bite us in, the where.
Yeah. So in your circles, that makes a lot of sense. But in my circles, where, a lot of rational logic thought, everything you just said just went like this. So because you're talking about light and you're talking about, so in the less woo-woo, and there's nothing wrong. I'm a reluctant woo-woo, but I absolutely, obviously, I teach Tai Chi. I, talk about being energetic beings. Practically speaking, how is that darkness showing itself right now? So let me pass that over to Kirsten.
So, I love that you brought in woo woo, and there's a way of talking about who we are as humans, and there's a way that we can talk about it from spiritual traditions and a particular mindset. But what if we could step back and look at human evolution from a longer perspective of who we really are, devoid of any, light being and that kind of language, and say, okay, who are we really? And what is this journey of life that we're on, existence that we're on? Well, we've come through a long period, through 23 chromosomes, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you then look into the future, who is it that we are becoming? Who can we become? And what is that path that is laid out for us if we choose it? And that's really the question on the plate here. And I agree with Tzadik, hiding the shadow parts, the darkness parts, is not the way to go. But as we wake up, one of the aspects of waking up is to be able to see yourself fully, without self-judgment, without feeling unworthiness, without not good enough. You become what I in my coaching call the 100% observer. And you do that from a very clear understanding of what is it that's pulling your strings. So who are you? Can you be 100% happy? Or is it human nature to dip into emotional drama and trauma? Our belief is that's human nature. Our understanding is it's not. These are control mechanisms that when you understand them, these egos, and be able to separate yourself from them, you created them, they're your creation, but now you're taking back the reins. You're choosing how you are going to feel. And through those processes, now you can start walking this journey towards 100% awake, and then further beyond that, a continuous journey of evolution.
Got it. So I have a friend, she doesn't have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, it says, who are you and what do you want? So what I'm hearing is, this is the time that we all stop, thanks, COVID, hashtag COVID silver lining, to take a breath, hashtag take a breath, and ask ourselves, who are we really? And what do we really want? Is material achievement, perfectionistic, goal-oriented satisfaction with life, having more, doing, fame, fortune, all those traditional things that we like claw after, half of them were taken away with COVID. So we're having the opportunity now to say, you know, really who am I and what do I want? And am I happy? Did I get that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
you're in a good direction, you know.
Thank you.
I would just say that it depends, the answer depends on where you are in the journey to evolve. So let's just hypothetically say that we're in a stage called waking up. And currently, on average, for all human beings on Earth, we're between 5 to 6% awake. And in that understanding, there's nothing wrong. It's a miracle that we're this far along, actually. But in that understanding, we see that the world outside ourselves is real, and that if one thing doesn't get me, something else will. And we have not yet grasped the fundamental physics of our reality. So back 100 years ago, the theory that bacteria exist was woo-woo. Okay, that you should wash your hands before you do surgery, that was complete woo-woo. Okay, now that's not woo-woo, that's just good science. We all know that. In the same way, okay, we're going to discover that actually it is our own thoughts that's creating every experience that we're drawing to ourselves. No one's doing anything to us. All of our hard times and misery are basically created by the 50,000 thoughts that cross our own brain every day. Now, right now, that seems like woo-woo, but in this generation, that particular understanding is going to evolve as the new science, as the new understanding. And in that one understanding will come the ability to reimagine this entire world.
Beautiful, beautiful. That definitely helps. So we're moving along the continuum of woo-woo. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I am talking to, we have multiple guests today. I'm so delighted to have Rennie Davis, who is one of the Chicago Seven. And if you haven't watched it on Netflix, it's not fully based in truth, but enough of it, I would say 88% maybe, but it's very impressive. And he is the coordinator of the largest anti-war and civil rights coalition in the 1960s. His beautiful partner, Kirsten Liegmann, who's business, and she's a good merger of business and woo-woo. And then Tzadik Rosenberg Greenberg, who's a global visionary and to blame for my doing the Tai Chi and invoking the East and welcoming from the East when I 讲国语那次所青来. So that's what I was doing. And we're all part of events that are happening tomorrow. And this is, you can tell I found my script, is my 443rd consecutive week on the air. And so there's actually a little bit of symbolism there because we're on the cusp of that 444. But I'm delighted to have you. So a quick question before we talk about the actual events. In your own life, the way that you learned, or was there one milestone event, or was it a collection of events that got you to where you are and why it's important to be awake as a human being?
Yeah, I think that for all of us, myself included, every single step I've taken has brought me to this moment. So I don't look back on anything as wrong or a mistake. It all brought me here. I would say the event that for me personally stands out was in the mid 1990s, I was invited by a dear friend to do a little retreat into the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And I looked at Mike's schedule and told him that, well, yeah, that sounds great, but I'm way too busy for that, you know. So anyway, he persisted, and finally I came to my senses. And 5 days, I could take 5 days off. I walked from the rim to the bottom of the canyon. That took me 7 hours to get in. And I had a little tent and I set up. And when my 5 days came, there was no way I could leave. I I lived in the bottom of the Grand Canyon for 4 years, not speaking to a single adult and just listening to
What?
the earth. Yeah, exactly. That's what I say too. I mean, some of your listeners have probably tried a meditation retreat into nature. I mean, if you did one for 12 days, it changes your life. I mean, it's really, it's a monumental thing. If you go 4 years, that just, you put you in the
Wow.
weird category, woo woo, you weird,
Woo, woo
completely
on
over the
steroids.
top. Yeah. But
Was
it
this after
basically,
Chicago? Was this after
yeah, this
Chicago?
was after Chicago. Yeah, quite a bit after, mid 90s. And so from there, it's an amazing thing to listen. Honestly, you learn a lot, and to basically, shamans and medicine men and intuitive women and people all through traditional groups, claim that they could actually talk with the earth the way you and I are talking right now. Science took them forever to just say, yeah, the earth is a living organism, but self-aware, we're not there yet. That's back to more woo-woo, But in fact, you can actually talk to the earth. And for anybody who's listening right now, who is trying to think about the world as an upheaval, and I want to be a part of a change movement, my sincere suggestion would be, you want to take into account what the earth is up to. And you can find out, you really can. The earth is basically made a decision not to die, but to regenerate. And that's going to affect the entire global civilization and every single human being on earth. Whatever your plans are, they're going to be modified by what the earth is about to do. There is a group of people, they're pretty rare, I call them earth whisperers, who actually can do this. So seek out an earth whisperer and see what the earth whisperer says the earth is saying about what is coming, because it's not what you think, and it is a surprise. And you really, if you want to be a part of building the human future, you're going to want to take the earth into account.
Interesting. Yeah, we could have a whole nother show on that and climate change. I'm thinking that might be another good topic to talk about. But Tzadik, let's go to you. Any one event or multiple events that got you earth walking?
Yeah, I would say it's similar to how Rennie responded, which is, I was going to joke around and say like it just happened yesterday, but in line with what Rennie said, I don't think there's ever any one event. What I can say is one of the more significant experiences in my life was when I went off to college, and I hit a point where literally I cried for 3 weeks straight, in transitioning from what was my old life, and then began a journey where I went through about 6 years worth of suicidal depression. And I, through that process, just basically questioned every single last thing that was in the life that I grew up in. I grew up in a conservative, right-wing Republican family. John McCain was good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, right. John McCain was a good family friend. I kind of grew up on his lap, if you like. I grew up in the Republican Party, and I with a lot of top leadership. And when I went to college, things just didn't line up, and just had to go through this process of basically disenfranchising myself from everything that I learned, and had to figure out for myself what that looks like, which is what I think is the same for everyone. Is like the deep spiritual journey is figuring out like what we've been told versus what feels true and alive within our own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What BS works and what doesn't. And I would love to get to you, Kirsten, but we have to take a little break to thank the sponsors who made this show possible. So we will be back in 2 and 2, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Do you want to be your best self? Of course you do. But how? Dr. Marissa here, and you know me as your personal happiness cheerleader. And right now, especially now, it's not easy to be your best self when everything around you is all fluxed up. Well, I found a fabulous site with a myriad of helpful, easy to use tools to explore and excavate your best self. From journals to planners to discovery decks, the Best Self Hub has everything you need to create work-life harmony and live a life you love. Go to www.bestself.co and use promo code Dr. Marissa to get 20% off. Discover your best self today. Want to listen to the voices of the unheard? Want to celebrate 25 years of Spirit Awakening Foundation? Well, you can. It's a free virtual event this Friday, November 13th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Since 1995, Spirit Awakening has helped underserved youth and children in the juvenile justice system realize their worth, their value, and spirituality using the creative arts as a foundation for connection. Go to www.spiritawakening.org and register today. And we're back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday, naturally high noon, broadcasting out of Burbank, California with UBN Go, and then Saturday at 6 Pacific Time on my CNBC NBC News Radio channel, KCAA. That's on AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and then on demand everywhere on basically every possible platform there is, including iHeartRadio. So if you've missed any of these shows or you want to watch the show on Saturday on KCAA, or go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe, and you will get to watch more hope and happiness. And today I'm delighted to have three guests instead of one. We've got Tzadik Rosenberg, and he is the one. I actually met him in Colorado when I was doing a book signing for my bestseller, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, and Tattered Covers, which got me the #4 bestseller list on Denver Post. And and then next thing I know, I'm doing all these programs for him. So that's the cool thing. And then through Tzadik, I got to meet the wonderful couple here who are doing also hope things. And then to find out that Rennie is actually one of the Chicago 7, and I had just watched the documentary. So I'm delighted to have all three of them on. And we're going to talk specifically now on what you are all going to be doing tomorrow. You may not know it. You might want to take the day off because there's programs tomorrow, 11/11, that will blow your mind open so that we can all be fully awake. So, Kirsten, I didn't get to you on the, what was the event. So maybe you can speak to that and then introduce the Hope 11/11.
Okay. Yeah. So, just to briefly answer that question of, what has been driving me to wake up, what the image that popped in for me was me standing at the shoreline in Oregon, looking out over the water into the fog, and there was a longing that came over me, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was about me and who I could become. And that really has been sort of that driving underneath force. But really, I would say the moment of my stepping consciously onto this journey was when I was in California. I had just moved from Germany, was at my one of my psychology classes, and we were watching Bill Moyer interview Joseph Campbell about the dragon and the hero's journey, and somehow that landed with me with all fours. And it was that, I knew I had to go through slaying the dragons, which, now I understand them to be the egos that are driving everything and such. So it's really been that moment. And then just the moments through our meditation, our frequency work of experiencing the openings through that, the releasing. There's so many that really I can't name them all, but it's been the most incredible journey. And just like Tzadik, I came from a very two isms, mother very Christian and father very atheist. So I had the extremes of two sides. And so I was really in a place of don't come with any kind of ism with me, raise the hair in the back of my neck. And so that opened me up to what feels right inside, what lands. And this work that we've been doing has been like that. It's just every puzzle piece fits without boundaries of a belief system. And that's been just so amazing and liberating.
Beautiful.
So
tell us about the event tomorrow. We have literally 2 minutes. So
okay. Wow. All right. Tomorrow is focused on balancing the fear in the world with pure hope. Both of those you can think of as frequencies. Fear is a very dense frequencies, and you can feel it in the world. It's through everything. And so there's one frequency in the world that can balance this fear, and we're calling it pure hope. And so there's at 11:11, there's going to be a globally synchronized meditation at 11:11 Mountain Time, and that's the cornerstone event moment of the event. But the whole day is focused on hope and how we can live, grow, and thrive in alignment with the intelligence of nature and harmony with each other. And it focused on changing ourselves.
Beautiful.
So there's speakers, there's music, there's a live painter that we're going to be selling afterwards, the painting. And just, it's Imaginarium. It's going to be such an incredible day, just filled, action-packed.
Beautiful. And I just signed up, and I have to tell you, it's so expensive. It's free. So
hope1111.com.
hope1111.com. And I love the fact that Rennie actually learned meditation from John Lennon, from what I understand.
That's where it began.
That's where it began. So there will be meditating. And then in California, it will be 10:11 that will be synchronized in doing that. And then, since we're all great multi-taskers and multi-foci, Tzadik is part of an event that is the second in a trilogy. Tzadik, tell people what's going on tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow if you can find it at 1111unify.com, is a whole series of events from morning to night, bringing in amazing speakers like Kimberly and Foster Gamble of Procter & Gamble, who are actually speaking about how do we transition from the world that we've been living to into a more thriving, alive planet. Earthwalk is also contributing about 4 hours worth of programming in 3 different sectors. So I'm giving a talk on how to build the global culture of peace. We're also doing a 3-hour program, which all 3 of you are in as well, which is called Love in Action, which through that 3-hour block, we go through the 12 sectors of society, as was outlined by Barbara Marx Hubbard and Buckminster Fuller. Business and economics, science and technology, education and learning, governance, and we're asking the basic question.
Media, communication.
That's mine. Media, yes, yeah. We're asking the basic question of how do we bring love into each sector of the society? So how do we create a love-based economic system where it's serving all? How do we create businesses that are actually in service to all, as opposed to a lot of the models that we have now that are serving few? And so the entire broadcast will be focused on that. And the reason we use that angle is because it's our story that in order to create a global culture of peace, that's what we need to do, is we need to put love into everything, in short, to put it into all the sectors of society.
Beautiful. And to register for that, you go to
1111unify.com.
and also it's also very expensive. It is free.
It
so
is.
You have a whole day with a plethora of ways in which to maybe look at your life, what's going around you very differently. And all of it is to expand and connect you with the wholeness of who you are. Is that about right? Did I get that as a good commercial? All right.
It works.
Beautiful, beautiful. Last question. Who, and I asked this of all my guests, and by the way, the 1010 one had also great speakers, Deepak Chopra and my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith. So, and then there's a 12 too, that's coming
Yeah,
up.
and we actually just launched this last week, all the videos from the 1010 event. So you can actually find that now at earthwalkunited.org/store. So all of your talks that were a part of that were there, and yeah, and there's more to come.
Perfect. All right. Who or what are you most grateful to or for? That's has been my question for 443 weeks of my guests. So the only thing is it's literally 40 seconds. So take a breath. I will start with Rennie.
That's impossible, but probably Kirsten Liegmann. But number 2 would be John Lennon.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kirsten?
Oh, to be sappy. I was going to answer this person next to me.
Aww.
He is my inspiration always.
That's beautiful, beautiful. Tzadik?
I would just say all of life. I don't know if I could singly point out any one thing. I think where I'm at today is because of every single one of you. I couldn't do this without you. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you didn't notice, I think one of the themes that I'm grateful for that you've brought here, which I'm all about, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what's right with you. So if you want to turn the corner and leave all of that criticism of yourself behind, tomorrow is 11/11. So it's your chance to start anew with you. Poet and didn't know it. I just want to give a quick shout out. We've got Timothy from Texas and Dino from Illinois tuning in. We've got Lau from Pakistan. So we have a beautiful, as usual, and Sona from Slovakia. I love the fact that technology is such. That's what I'm grateful for today. All right, and that is it for today's guest portion of the show. Thank you so much. I'd like to give all of you the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award, and it's not given to everyone. So all of you receive that award. Tony, with the applause. There it is. So take that with you, and thank you so much for coming into my studio. Go sign up tomorrow. It is hope1111.com and 1111unify.com.
Good.
I do listen sometimes. Tony's going to flash some stuff up. Thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we are at the end of the show where I usually give you a little balance bar. And I didn't hear the ding, but we're just going to assume that I got it. I think it's time for my speaker here. All right, so I want to see you this Friday at Voices of the Unheard. That's for sure. And that is another free virtual event. If you want more information, go to spiritawakening.org. Mondays are my Mind Your Own Business with Dr. Marissa. We're getting more and more people both on Instagram Live at 10:30 and then Facebook Live at 10. So join me there. I'm also going to be on a show with Lisa Tahir, who had her book endorsed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So that is Thursday that I'm going to be on. And I think Tony's putting that picture up. And it is at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll be talking about happiness. I wonder why. Also, Rennie is generously provided an Asian Oprah giveaway of his book. And I think, Tony, if you could flash his book cover there. We didn't get to it. We're definitely going to have you back on, Rennie. So many things I didn't get to ask you, but we're going to give that away to the first person that goes to drmarissa.life and puts in Chicago 7 in the subject line. Also, I am, November 21st, doing by popular demand, the workshop, Be the Best That You Can Be, and broadcast it. So if you want to write a 30-second commercial for your business, your book, whatever it is that you are offering in your unique way. And even if you don't have a business, maybe if you're starting to date again and you want a 30-second commercial about yourself, we're doing another Zoom workshop. Sign up at drmarissa.life. It's November 21st, 10 a.m. to 12. And then the 22nd, my favorite, it's story time with kids with my children's book called Mommy, What Are Feelings? So go to drmarissa.life holiday special. Instead of 25 for the book, it's only 20. And all proceeds go to my nonprofit 501c 8 Ways to Happiness. And I think that's it. If you shop on Amazon, please use the Smile link with 8 Ways to Happiness to force Amazon to give a little bit to this nonprofit that got started, COVID Silver Lining, to help children, young adults, and teens who have temporarily forgotten that it's their birthright to happiness. And that is it for today. Keep it tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. I am wishing you the best week ever. We'll see you in 2 and 2. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace.